not easy. It's not supposed to be easy to do everything. So when you come in late because you're tired,
Seeking a candidate for the vacant position on the school board. As of yesterday, we had 4 candidates. And through the course of yesterday, 2 of them had withdrawn their names. And as of right now, there are 2 remaining, one that's not here. So we're going to proceed with the meeting. Can I like to present Paula Isbicki?
Isbicki.
Isbicki.
Yeah.
There's a candidate who has put her name in to fill in the position for the remaining of this year. So I'd like to say welcome.
Thank you.
And if you want to, I know we received your resume or your letter of intent. If you want to just give us, for the audience anyway, a brief
Sure.
outline of,
Do you need me to speak a little closer, or am I okay where I am? Can they hear me?
maybe range a little closer, just to make sure.
So I'm a resident of Litchfield, but I have 2 kids currently in the Litchfield School District, one that will be coming shortly, one at the middle school, one at the elementary school. I am an educator. I started education in the Concord School District about 15 years ago now, taught different grade levels there, started to have a family, wanted to move closer to home. I taught in Manchester for about 6 years. Throughout the course of that, I also was a coach in literacy, school in need of improvement, needed a lot of things to get amped up, so did a lot of best practices in coaching and teaching there. While I was there, I wanted to be an administrator someday, so I got my master's in administration. Shortly after that, I had an interview at the Hollis School District. I landed a position as an assistant principal there. 6 months into my first year as an administrator's assistant principal, Hollis was going through a little bit of a rough time, and I was put as not as an acting interim position, but they needed to kind of clear up their vision, so I spent a year and a half sort of doing everything on my own, and before everything was settled and they named me principal. So I've been doing that now. I'm going into my 4th year. With that experience, I have had my learning curve was like this because, I thought I was going to be sitting in an assistant administrative position for quite a long time before I actually jumped into the principal position. And initially when I was put as the principal, I was like this, I can't do this right now, but starting to learn how to balance everything, it all kind of balanced out. I had to build culture. We were in the middle of a contract. Budget wasn't exactly where it needed to be, even though in Hollis we do have sort of what we need. The building is old. People were leaving. It was just a lot of things that I had to attend to. So I really feel like I stepped into that leadership role, kind of flipped everything around. We have the best retention rate in our SAU. We had 24 building projects go on this summer, which is almost unheard of, but with full support of the board to get everything fixed that we needed to get fixed. Have a nice balanced, great budget right now that we can work with and meet the needs of kids. And, hearing that there was an opening on the Litchfield School Board, I was a little hesitant to throw my name in. I wasn't sure, but I think that I could probably bring a different perspective to the board. I think my education background has kept me very balanced. I have kids that are being educated, and I just find that when I look for what's best for kids, the decision is always pretty easy and everybody can compromise and get there. So I followed the Litchfield School Board for a while. I feel like everybody's in a real positive place right now, and I think that I could just sort of add to that and give a little bit more of that educational perspective on the board. So here I am.
Wow.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
It sounds like you're very busy.
Yes.
Do you think you'll have the time to be on the board? I mean, there's a lot to it, and a lot of preparation and a lot more time, I think, than some people expect. And so I just want to make sure that it wouldn't be an experience that would be so negative or that you'd have to step away from.
Right. No, I think I could do it. It was one of the things I really had to think about. One of the things that I am very cognizant of as a principal is I need to balance my life and make sure that I can do everything I decide I want to do. I am required to go to some school board meetings. I don't have to go to all. In our district, our superintendent does most of the talking for us as administrators. I go once in the beginning of the year and once at the end of the year for our goals presentation, so I'd be required to do those couple of things. Our school board meetings are on the second Wednesday of every month, which coincides with this. I can't say I won't be called in, but I would need to be upfront and just transparent that would have to be my first priority to get that done. But I really feel like it's a critical time right now. You're in a contract year, you're looking for a superintendent, and I think that I can offer a lot, and that would be my first priority, to make sure that all of that's balanced. I'm not worried about, I have a very supportive husband who does a lot, and I feel that I wouldn't be putting in if I couldn't put the time into it. Yeah.
You mentioned that Hollis went through a rough time. I don't know if you can elaborate or even need to, but I wouldn't say we're going through a rough time, but we have a lot of change. Obviously, we have a superintendent change, we have a principal change at the high school, we had a principal change at the elementary school just a couple years ago. Did you learn anything in the rough time you went through in Hollis that could help us here, do you think? Or?
Yeah, I had to do a lot of listening and learning. I didn't come in intending to make changes or to do anything. I gave a lot of value to the people that were around me and who had experienced everything before I even got there. I listened, as I listened and reflected and sort of gave people an ear to talk, it sort of guided me to what needed to be changed. Some changes were popular and some changes weren't popular, but I'm very transparent with people. I'm pretty open. A big change that happened in our district, for example, at our open house, children were always allowed to come. And teachers really couldn't get the message to the kids, to the parents, because kids were there and parents were trying to talk to teachers about their child, and they didn't feel like that was right. So, I just had to make a decision that children weren't coming. Some people felt that was very, like I was being very cold and shut off, but I don't mind taking the time. I phoned people, I put out surveys, I asked for feedback. It's when you make a tough decision like that, it's not always based on just making a tough decision because you want to, or because that was what was actually best for kids at that time, because parents needed to know what they needed to know at the beginning of the year. So you can make unpopular decisions, but to me, it's just the communication of being able to have people understand where you're coming from.
Do you think you'll ever have to make a decision here as a school board member that would be different than what you'd want as an administrator in Hollis? Would it be conflict there, you think?
I don't think there would be conflict there. I think I can provide, insight to the school side of it that would help make a decision, but we're here as a group, and I don't plan on making one sole decision here. I think that you have to hear all sides. I'm a taxpayer and I have children here, so there are definitely things that I invested in, and I'm not looking to make Litchfield Hollis. That's not my intention.
Could you?
Huh?
Polly, you mentioned, you attend school board meetings in Hollis.
Yep.
Do you watch these school board meetings at all?
Here?
Yep.
Or in, not all the time, no. Go ahead.
Sorry, the reason I ask is I don't know if you have a vision of where you think the school board should be going, or what direction you'd like to see this school board go.
Well, I think you have two big things going on this year that can help direct your vision. One is finding a superintendent, and two is a teacher contract. I think those are two big things that a lot of people have a lot of input on. I think that they are two big decisions that could last a while and have a great impact. So I would think that, I've had contracts, I've had various contracts, I have, I've done my own budget, I have different ideas that maybe I could throw out or help with. I've interviewed superintendents, I've, had, been on committees with with interviewing, I feel like I know what's out there, and I would really like to see us have some longevity in a position here that could really give us a sound base. So I guess my vision here would be to help create this solid base that would have a nice, positive future ahead, because I have a lot vested in the future.
And I'm sorry, if you can just clarify, because
Sure.
Janine asked as far as time, and especially this time of year.
Yep.
Like you mentioned, we're going through a superintendent search. We just finished with a principal search. There's also, it's 2 union contracts we're dealing with right now, the teachers and non-teachers. So there is a lot on the plate. But did you say that your meetings are the second,
They are the second Wednesday of every month, so which you guys do the second and the fourth?
first and third?
The first and the third?
Yep.
Oh, I thought they were the second and the fourth. Then there would be no conflict. Yep.
And the reason, as Janine mentioned, I mean, there's a lot of time involved, so it's not just the meetings. I mean, there's other subcommittees that
Yeah.
take place, so there is time consuming.
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware, I'm on the policy committee for the Hall, we're working with the Hollow School Board member, but those meetings are during the day. I'm a primary school, so a lot of my, I have a couple of open houses after school and stuff, but a lot of our events are really during the day. We have young kids, we often don't hold night events or things like that, so that kind of stuff isn't very time consuming for me.
Certainly, I'm sure your board's the same way. I mean, as you get closer into the budget season, there's more and more meetings that take place, and then through the course of deliberation.
Yep.
I actually another question.
Sure.
What is your thoughts on Common Core?
My thoughts on Common Core. Oh, that's
Based
an
on what's
interesting
been-
question. Oh, goodness. I wish I could say the words Common Core without have it being aligned with all this testing that's happening, because it's really 2 separate things. It's not. The standards are valuable in the fact that they were created by teachers, they were created by parents, they were created by educators. So they're definitely standards that are appropriate for students. I've taught them. We've had to assess on them. I don't think it's the be-all, end-all of what a professional teacher can bring to a classroom. I think it's a great guide. And I say that completely separate from any testing that has attached itself to the Common Core. Because I have a very different feeling on assessments and things like that. So, very separate feelings on that. But I think it's a valuable tool, and it is useful to educators.
Yeah, I'm curious, what are your feelings on the assessments?
There's a lot of assessment, and I've done a lot of investigating in my own district. We have done a lot of assessments, and I pulled back on a lot of it because there's a lot more learning that needs to happen before the assessing happens. I find a lot more valuable in teacher-student conversation than picking an ABC answer. I think the vision, we in our district, we didn't take the computer Smarter Balance. We took a paper pencil, which was a very different version, was very more realistic to classroom teaching and what kids learn versus being on a computer and clicking around. So I don't feel like assessment is a small piece of the pie that gives you a full view on what a child can do, but it's definitely not, it would not, one number would not make me make a decision on a child.
Which tests were you able to pull back on?
We used to do NEWA 2 times a year. I was asked when I first got there to do NEWA with our first graders and our kindergartners, and I just felt that putting them on a computer for about an hour to assess 3 times a year was just way too much. So we didn't do that. We do Ames Web, which is about 5 minutes with the teacher. We did NEWA 2-3 times a year in 2nd and 3rd grade, and we've pulled back to beginning and end of year. But after we did that, we're just sort of looking at when is the most valuable time to assess, and it might be in January versus September. So we just continue to reflect every year. So we were able to pull back on those things. And then just our assessments, we've gone more performance tasks. We're looking into more performance tasks versus paper pencil tests.
Paula, this position, again, is just for the remainder of this year. Do you have any aspirations as far as to possibly run again afterwards?
It's going to be a very different experience for me to be on the other side of the table. You know, I'm very used to being on this side of the table as an administrator. I really don't know. I don't know where I would be at the end of March. I mean, I'll be kind of filtering through this for the first time myself, so I can't answer that yet because I don't know.
So why do you want to do it now?
Like I said, I feel like it's a important position for an important year. There's a lot at stake as far as building a few things that could really have a positive effect going forward. And I think I could help that to be a very positive going forward.
Anyone have any other questions?
Do we have any more? Is the other gentleman not here?
No.
No?
We'll just open up the community forum. Well, there were actually 4 candidates. 2 had backed out yesterday, and 1 is not here this evening. The one, pardon me? I believe so.
Yes, probably public, right?
Yeah. Robert Myers is the one who is not here this evening. Liz McDonald decided last evening not to do it, and John York decided yesterday afternoon not to do it.
Make a motion to nominate Paula Isbicki as interim school board member until the elections in March 2017.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? That's it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Welcome.
Thank you.
I think, right?
And Mr. Garrett here will swear you in, and that way you can attend tomorrow's meeting.
Awesome.
Make a motion to adjourn. Do we have anything else?
No, we're not doing it. No.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Somewhere to go there?
Anywhere but here. Would you like to leave your car running? Derek, leave your car running?
You get to hear the first half of the second half.
You run the meeting.